Good morning. Welcome to Unity Longmont Spiritual Center on November 7th, 2021. And we are blessed to have Mike King with us here to speak and Clint Brown and Connie Schaefer to provide music. So Clint and Connie, would you bring us a piece of music, please?
So November is Thanksgiving month, so
Sing thank you song. Sing along with us as we get repetitive, you'll catch them.
we are saying thank you. We are saying thank you. We are saying thank you. Thank you, it's our practice.
Thank you for fall colors.
We are saying thank you. We are saying thank you. We are saying thank you. Thank you for all colors.
Thanks for the turkey.
We are saying thank you. We are saying thank you. We are saying thank you.
Thank you.
For the turkey.
Next is all veggies.
Thank you for all veggies. Thank you for thank you. We are saying thank you. Thank you for all veggies.
For the harvest.
We are saying thank you. We are saying thank you. We are saying thank you. Thank you for the harvest.
For this moment.
We are saying thank you. We are saying thank you.
We are
Saying thank you. Thank you for this moment.
Thank you, Clint and Connie. It's at this time that we go into prayer together by taking a breath. Beloved presence, everywhere present, we are saying thank you. We are grateful for all our blessings. We remember in this moment the power of love in which we live and which we share with each other. We are grateful for the power of wisdom, the ability to discern what is ours to do, the ability to understand the power of our words and our thinking. And as always, we are grateful for the silence, a place in which to renew and rest. And so we share this time together with gratitude. And so it is. Have another piece of music, please.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort
my soul.
Speak through me. Speak through me. Speak through me. Oh, my soul. Speak through me. Speak through me. Speak through me. Oh, my soul. Move through me. Move through me. Oh, my soul. Move through me. Move through me. Move through me. Oh, my soul.
Thank you, Connie and Clint. So let us open our hearts, our minds, and our souls to Mike King.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. As you were singing that, I went to, for some reason, my mind went to sin and sinning and original sin. And I wrote a poem a couple of years ago about that, titled Original Sin. And it came to me that what is the original sin? It's forgetting that what we are. And it's just that simple. It's so we're called to remembrance. And I usually like to have a new poem for you guys, so I wrote one this morning. And here it goes. Today was a brown day. The orangeness and fiery red of the colors sufficient to carry fall's message. Coffee cup, grasped tightly with both hands, almost like a lifeline to the warmth of remembered summer. There's something special about this time of year. Is it the season of the fall and the reluctance of the leaf clinging to brother branch, which calls the wind to dance? Autumn's blaze does not protest the cold, only celebrates with artful grace the decline of substance and things material. And to offer us the hint of something else, hidden, but not really. Why is the fall so seemingly me? Is it that I am in the fall of my years? Or do I have a special simpatico and sensitivity to the harvest season? Born as I was, black cropped hair, orange of skin on All Hallows Eve. Maybe because I still feel that time is on my side, that each day and breath is now seen as a gift, another chance at life. Each leaf that no longer resists falling free from fear reminds me, encourages me that the coming whiteness and cold bears just another name for love's lesson. Thanks, guys. So about maybe it was the last time that I talked to you guys. I forget the woman who asked the question about how does charity or giving tie into this teaching of non-duality. And so I thought, well, as Clint did, it's Thanksgiving season. And so we're talking about giving. So I looked up the word charity, and it comes from the Latin carus, which means dear or beloved. And I've been given some unique opportunities to see how life responds to me if I come from that place. And it's really not me coming from that place, because it's not a decision I make. It's like grace takes your hand and offers it to you. So I was in Las Vegas with my daughter got married. We had a great big shindig. And then a bunch of us went to Las Vegas with my 95-year-old father. And I don't know if any of you guys are card players or poker players, but I'm going to tell you the story is how it happened. It's interesting. It ties into this. So I was at the card table playing poker in Las Vegas. And as such, I have to go use the restroom, which I did. And as I was doing my business, I remembered that I had left my cell phone, my iPhone, on the poker table. And in my mind, I was really concerned that someone might take it. Your chips are kind of safe because of the eye in the sky. You know, they have these cameras. But my phone, someone could just grab the phone maybe. So my mind was going back and forth. And anyway, I'm not going to go into detail about that. But as I went to leave the bathroom, I turned around and a gentleman who was taking care of the restroom, he was mopping the floors, had gone into the stall that I had just vacated. He flushed the toilet and came back out. And I turned around and I tapped him on the shoulder. And I just said, thank you. And I gave him $10, not a big deal. But what was a big deal was his eyes lit up. He was so surprised that someone took the time. The world responds to not what we see, but how we see. Not what we do, but how we do it. It was a little thing. It's just a small little thing. But those eyes gave me a gift that to this day still keeps giving. I believe that's the essence of charity. That there isn't a giver or a receiver. It's just all bundled up together somehow. So that was really cool. So I head back to the table. I sit down and my hands have been pretty good. I was kind of up a little bit, you know, doing pretty good. And I sat down, and now in Vegas, you have to wear masks. So everyone was wearing a mask. And I sit down, I was playing Texas Hold'em, for those of you who know Texas Hold'em. And I get 2 cards. The best hand in Texas Hold'em is a pair of aces. And I looked down and I was dealt a pair of aces. And I just burst out laughing. And a couple of people saw, even through the mask, they thought, what the heck is going on? I did not have a good poker face. So, and you could say that that's a coincidence, that because that event happened, why did I get the best hand, starting hand in all of poker, the very first hand? Was it a little extra? You know, that yes, this is real. Love is the essence of what we are. The next 2 hands I would have won also. I didn't play them. I was so kind of just in this blissful time. And so later that evening, my kids were off downtown, and my wife and I were watching the grandkids. We had 4 rooms together. And so I went in there, and the baby, my grandson is, well, back then, like 7 months, 8 months old. He wasn't going to sleep. So I went and held him, and we were on the bed together. And I told my wife this story, and her eyes glistened. And I realized the gift was still giving. His gift was still giving. It's like, whoa, that blew me away. And so as I keep telling the story, it keeps giving. And I think there's the essence of charity, of of how we heal the world, how we heal ourselves. We separate through time and space and in relationship to others. So I believe that the path back, I won't say the path for the body and the mind back has to go through time, because the body and the mind is in time. But I believe there's three ways we can look at and deal with the world. And for most of my life, it was the first way, which is, this is me, I'm in this body. I have a name, a purpose, I'm a man, a woman, a husband. And then there's the world out there that's not me. So everything that's in me is in this shell. Everything else is not me. I mean, that's the default materialistic world. Even if one, as I grew up in the Jewish faith, believed in God, it still kind of felt that way, that, oh, I might have this thing called the soul, but I'm not really sure about it. But at some point, I think, thank God for grace, that we get glimpses. Other people, I mean, you've heard of people like Eckhart Tolle and people that have had these awakenings, spontaneous awakenings. But for me, it was a set of glimpses more. But I call it grace. Even, it's just that we start to see things differently. That, wait, what I truly am isn't this body. It's really not this mind. And we probably call it spirit, would probably be something, that a word what we could use. But that there is spirit that knows the mind, the body, and the world. And then the third stage or the third set that happens in time, is that I see myself everywhere and in everyone. And separation dissolves. And we call that love. Love is the dissolution of all boundaries. I'll read another poem that kind of talks about, a little bit, you'll see, talks about kind of all the stages. And it's called I Write. Many write of nature, things natural and verdant, aliveness, blooming varieties, color, and the spice of life. I too am drawn to dream of eternal spring, and to hear, as if for the very first time, beauty's call, fresh, alive, always new, and that I might join, not as an observer or part of, rather to experience a sense of fulfilled wholeness, complete, just as it all is, this ordinary, everyday, precious now. Where, when, how, why, all dropped for a blessed, sacred moment. A much needed repose for the inside one who many times feels, even in the midst of many, the ache of aloneness, felt not unique or special, but separate, apart from. And sometimes I write as a balm, a self-applied heating pad to the deep bruises left by history's slings and arrows. Now mostly felt as a dull, nagging ache of discontent, just one boy's sorrow. But if I am connected to others in no other way than this shared pain, I'll take that as a tremendous win, a chalk mark on the good side of life's blackboard. Why? Because I realize in that moment, truly, I'm not alone. That pain is not mine or yours, it's ours, shared. Which gets me to wondering, maybe there's more we share than just pain. Maybe your life differs only in texture to mine, that the fabric and weave of us is unique, yet our substance, the stuff that makes this life worth living, is the same. Sometimes I write to wonder, like stargazing from the darkest of our places, diamonds in the sky, awe-inspired by the twinkle, twinkle of a little poem and a love that's close right here at home. And to know it is enough. You, I, are enough. Sometimes I write of the mundane, everyday mechanics of life and beginnings of a new life where even the most procrastinated duties and obligations are transformed, made whole, not by words or deed of doing, not really made at all. And I write not for acceptance sake, for that would be a book of fiction about a man still looking in all the wrong places. Just another victim's storyline of a life ending in tragedy. And in my case, with a little comedy thrown in for good measure. So sometimes I just write. Thanks, guys. Here's a little poem by Father Fennery. God through some sticky stuff not yet alive in a hive said, come, hum, be my bee and buzz as I bid. And sure enough, it was, and it did. And then there's a funny little quip about that there's 100 names for God, and that all of us as humans are given to know 99. But the 100th name of God, only the camel knows, which is why the camels look so snooty all the time. How am I doing on time, Deva?
You're good.
I'm good.
Mhm.
I keep having these opportunities. Life grace keeps descending in such interesting ways. When we left the hotel in Las Vegas, we were waiting for a shuttle. My father's 95 years old, and he was sitting next to me on the bench. And a gentleman with not many teeth comes, bottle in his hand, alcoholic bottle in his hand, and he sits down, and I realized that the response of how I would have responded even a few years ago was quite different than how I actually responded. So my whole family was standing around waiting for the bus. This guy sits down and just starts mumbling. But all of a sudden, he just looks up into the sky and just thanks God. He says, thank you, God, for my day today. I just started talking to him. So later, both my daughter and my son go, Dad, why were you talking to that crazy dude? Why didn't you, and you let him be by grandpa, and he could have hurt you, and all that kind of stuff. It's just another little thing. But it's the little things that we need to attend to. It's the little things that show us. And I think it's true that either there are no miracles or everything's a miracle. Can't be both. And most of my life I've lived as like nothing's a miracle. And that's not very fun. It's not very happy to live that way. So if we say, what is our purpose in life is to be happy, why not look at it the way that happiness just explodes? I don't really have much more to say. I'd be happy to answer questions. I like kind of the free flow that sometimes people talk about what's going on and it kind of triggers something. So it's kind of about what I had for today.
Thank you, very rich. So we will open it up for questions, comments, sharings, etc. And did you find your phone?
That's what I wanted to know.
It was in my pants pocket the whole time.
Oh, gee, wonderful.
Oh,
Which was another kind of funny little, you know.
Yeah. Great.
Hmm.
well, thank you, Mike. That was a wonderful talk. And thank you, Clint and Connie. I always love your music.
And we will hear more of their music in a few moments.
Yes.
I'm reminded of something my deceased partner used to say, the heart sees what the eyes cannot.
Love that.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining this man next to you and your father on the bench felt seen. And
Mhm.
we all desire that.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
You know, to go from that first stage to the second stage of seeing that you're not separate, because separation is suffering. And it is an act of grace. It doesn't come from us. We can't make that leap, you know. We because that would be a person trying to get rid of being a person, and it just doesn't work because there really is no person. It's like, you know, God takes us by the hand, and when we're ready, He shows us. And I think if this world is to make it, more and more people have to have that and make that shift. Because once that shift is made, at least for me, my whole life changed. I mean, I went from being one type of a person, a normal, you know, business person, everyday good guy. I wanted to treat people right, but really wasn't too concerned with spirituality or love. And what's love? You know, I would say, what's love? So you can just see in our society the sickness of separation. It's everywhere. And we're just longing to all return back to remember that original sin of forgetting. We long to remember our true self. And so, and I run a Tuesday night group, and we were having a big discussion about what's our purpose on this world, you know, and people, what's my purpose? And what, you know, I believe our highest purpose is to awaken to our truth. Because if we awaken, then it doesn't matter where we are, in what situation, what our activities or thoughts are, it'll reflect that knowledge. And it's not something we have to do to make things better. It'll naturally flow. And I think that's the essence of wisdom, that wisdom is just the activity, the thoughts, the feelings that arise from love. Love knows what to say or not to say, and love knows what to do and not to do. We might not, our minds might not, but love knows. So that's what I guess my highest prayer for any of us or anybody would be, is to awaken, however that happens.
That puts a different slant on what's going on in our world right now. You know, we have so much social media and awareness of so many more people than people did, say, 100 years ago. So we get to observe that suffering, and I recognize it and identify with it. And some of that shows up looking like hate and division. And yet, if there's an awakening, all that shadow has to come up.
It has to.
You know, and if I think about our time right now that way, I feel purposeful and more hopeful.
Mhm.
Mike, I loved your stories. Well, I love your poetry. You need to publish that, but that aside, the story of what happened in Las Vegas and how you gave and how it kept on giving, and really what was happening is you saw the man sweeping the floor. You saw him. That's all you needed to do. You just had, and I thought to myself, that's the key to awakening, to see each other. You didn't ask him what he believed or,
Right.
how he felt about this or that. You just saw him. And thank you for that story, because I had this sense of it, the ripples in the water of dropping that piece of seeing him, and then it goes out and out and out and out until we hear it, and then we can give it out further, and it goes further, and it doesn't end. Doesn't end. There's no end to giving. So I really appreciate you and bringing us the truths that you have found. It fills my heart. Thank you.
Now, that wonderful thing about giving is that it's almost more of a gift for the giver than the receiver.
Yes. Oh,
Mhm.
many times over. Yeah, I agree.
Now, if you want to feel good, just give.
Right,
Mhm.
right. And part of when it's not to say that my mind wasn't active during that process and all kind of mundane things weren't happening. And at some point I would say, well, those shouldn't be there. And I realized, no, that it's that I no longer pay attention to the monkey brain. It's not that it's going to go away. Maybe it does. I've given up hoping that it does. I don't care. I just don't pay it much attention because it's not right normally. It's trying to compare and to judge, to say this is good, this is bad, you're here. I don't care anymore about that stuff. What I care about was somehow I got up the courage to tap the man on the shoulder and see him as myself, and life just took care of it. And it, like you say, it keeps giving.
Yeah.
So these are the lessons I need to keep learning. So I'm learning, so I'm being offered them. And thank God I finally have some ears to listen and to hear.
So many people struggle with asking for help. And if we recognize that's only part of this circular giving piece, it's an opening, then maybe it would be easier to be vulnerable and ask for help too.
Yeah, I like that a lot, because that's always been hard for me, is to come and say, as a man, I need anything. I don't need anything. I'm self-sufficient here. And yeah, that opens it up.
I'm on Nextdoor, and every now and then there's a comment on there about, I just moved into the neighborhood and I need a couch and I need a bed. Is there anybody out there that can help me? And you would not believe the responses. I have a truck, if anybody needs transportation, or I have 2 beds, or, do you need anything for your kitchen? It's just, people in a sense are dying to give. They just really want to. And as far as this, awakening goes, there are more people awakening on the planet now than ever before, because it's time. Like there was a preset clock, at 2012 or whatever, we're going to begin this time, and people are going to wake up. This is going to happen, and that's going to happen. And it's all a part of this shift. So we're all, waking up. There's more people waking up now. And I think the more that we share, with people, whether it's a sentence or a word, there will be something that resonates in them, and that'll get them on a spiritual track. I've experienced this before, where someone will say to me, you said something to me once and it changed my life. well, I would say don't hesitate to speak with people. Sometimes you don't want to because you don't think, well, this person's not on my wavelength. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they do with it. What matters is just that you share that thought or that feeling about sharing with them. That's important. And I think that's how people wake up, person to person, situation to situation. And in my case, like you, Mike, it was sort of a situation that came up and it just changed me. It got me on a path.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if anyone who hasn't spoken yet would like to.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, I'm really grateful when you told the story in the bathroom, you really focused in on the exchange and the eyes of this person that you gave that money to, and that he accepted it. Because sometimes we give gifts and the person says, no, I don't need that. Really, they don't want, I don't want to owe it to you. And the exchange, when it really is complete, there's just a lot of energy, and it's really worth focusing in on. I really appreciate that.
That's really, yeah, it's a great point. You're right. It could have gone another way. You're right. He could have responded like, hey, but it was, his eyes just melted reality. It was like time and space just dropped. And for me, that's how I know that something is occurring that I really won't even be able to truly understand. Just know that it was a good thing. It was as Bobby said, it's something, those kinds of things happen all the time, and those ripples continue. They never end. And
When
Yeah.
you said time and space drop, it reminded me that's a definition of a mystical experience.
yeah.
Mhm.
Anyone else before we go into some more music?
Mike, you were wonderful. I love your poetry. It's so beautiful. And Clint and Connie, I loved your songs. I was singing along.
Mhm.
So going forward, I'm going to go ahead and mute all, and we'll hear music. So I invite you, Connie, to unmute.
Oh, okay.
So it is the turning of the seasons, and there's a song like that, Connie, isn't there? What is that?
Yeah, it's that old folk song
Oh,
we
yeah?
grew up with.
Oh,
Turn, turn, turn.
oh, okay, we know that, don't we?
Sure.
To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. Time to build up, time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turns, turns, turns. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rent, a time to sow, a time of love, a time of pain, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late.
Thank you, Clint and Connie. It's at this time that we go into our donation of love and light, again by taking a breath together, and if you like, placing your hands on your heart, being aware of the love and light that we are, and allowing it to expand. Today, we have been reminded that giving and receiving go hand in hand. So as we expand, let us open to receiving. And we remember who and what we are. And when we forget, let us remind each other. And so it is. So we finish with a piece of music, please.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as Creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous